Good morning, 437. Topping our farm news, Democrats in the U.S. Senate have reintroduced a mandatory GMO labeling bill. It will, though, face stiff opposition in a Congress controlled by Republicans. California Senator Barbara Boxer says more than 30 other Democrats in the House and Senate are sponsoring the legislation, and they say they are up to the challenge. The Right to Know Act is the latest version of a bill from last year that failed. The Minnesota legislature has considered a genetically engineered food labeling bill, not expected to get far, and North Dakota Senate Ag Committee discussed a resolution urging U.S. Congress to establish food labeling standards and clarify voluntary food labeling standards. So far, the bill is still in committee. Humans aren't the only animals who don't like extreme cold. Here's some calves at King Brothers Dairy in central New York that might be saying they can't wait till spring. When the mercury plummets, the farm takes some extra steps to make sure these calves and cows are kept warm and comfortable. Calves get frostbite on their ears, so for the first time ever, they are using cow earmuffs.
These babies here, this calf's about a month old, and you can see we've got a calf jacket on it to help keep it warm. We orientate the calf's hutch here so that it faces the south, so some of the sun can enter, and we keep it well bedded with straw so that they can get in, out of the breeze, out of the wind, the elements. And if we keep a nice pack of straw, they can get nestled right in the straw, and they actually do real well.
Temperatures in New York dipping below zero, reaching a high of just 1 degree on Sunday. Our temperature about the same. And before you say, gotta get me some of those, they're not on the market. At this point, they're just made on that farm. All right, time for Stewardship Wednesday now, staying ahead of the curve in animal care. For the last few weeks, we've been focused on the upcoming Veterinary Feed Directive. Starting at the end of next year, 2016, if you want to add some antibiotics to animal feed, it'll be under the oversight and overview of your veterinarian.
With some of the certain products that we have to use, the antibiotics, comes a responsibility and comes some regulation with that. And I think that's okay. I think that in order for there to be some confidence and some trust from consumers back to producers and vice versa, it's okay that there's some regulation there. If they weren't there and we determined all these things by trial and error, I'm not sure we'd be happy either. And so there's responsibility on all sides here. There's a regulatory responsibility, there's a producer responsibility, and there's a consumer responsibility to accept some of these hoops that we have to jump through. I think it's okay. Can it become burdensome, too burdensome? If we're not careful, it can. But I think the current structure is acceptable to most.
Stalka says this is the first time livestock producers will be required to comply with the veterinary oversight of medicated feeds. It begins again December of 2016. Brisket has long been a staple of fine Texas barbecue, but as Vicente Arenas shows us, brisket's popularity has been spreading to other parts of the country at a time when supplies are running very low and it's sending prices sky high.
Customers line up at Fargo's Pit Barbecue in Bryan, Texas for a plate full of the top-rated brisket Belinda Wells has been serving for 15 years.
Number 16 is going to be your number 7.
Business is good, but the restaurant's co-owner is facing a new challenge, a dramatic spike in the cost of beef.
What did you first think when you heard the prices were going up like this?
Wow. You know, how we're going to make it, the choices you have to make, because to maintain the quality, you're going to have to raise your price or you go out of business.
Brisket prices have increased 60% in the last year, from $2.21 per pound to $3.52.
That's the mother lode. That's what people want. I mean,
Jeff Sable is a meat science professor at Texas A&M University in College Station.
Today in the brisket market it's the perfect storm going the wrong way. There are fewer briskets today than in the past, but there's a greater demand.
Fewer briskets because drought in states like Texas and California have forced ranchers to thin their herds to the lowest level in 60 years. Greater demand because of the upturn in the economy and the growing popularity of Texas-style barbecue nationwide. And brisket is considered the gold standard of barbecue. When prepared correctly, It's slow cooked for 8 to 12 hours with a dark outer bark, yet juicy and tender inside.
Texas barbecue without brisket is, well, it's just pork, and that's no fun.
Daniel Vaughn is the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly.
Texas-style barbecue has become a lot more popular all across the country. Even fast food chains like Arby's have gotten on the bandwagon of brisket.
Vaughn estimates Arby's consumes nearly 300,000 pounds of brisket a week, nearly 5% of the country's stock. That further limits supply.
This one's coming down.
Fargo's finally had to raise its prices.
You raised about $4 a pound. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's a 2-year gap where I didn't raise prices at all.
Brisket lover Matt Frazier remains undeterred.
When I want brisket, I buy it regardless of the price. So
You like it that much, doesn't matter.
Yes, sir. It doesn't matter.
That's the reason Fargo's will continue to slice beef, though they'd also prefer to cut prices.
And then that red line, that
It's
is
the name of the place, Fargo's Pit Barbecue, Bryan, Texas. It's our farm news this morning. It's 4:43. Taking a break, coming back, checking the weather. We'll be right back.